All right, thanks, guys.
Hi, my name is Ashley Bernal. I too am not a resident of Ferguson. I am a resident of Florissant. So I speak to you as a resident of Florissant and a business owner, a business person, and a citizen of this community of North County. So frequently we talk about history, and even in your charter and mission statement you talk about your own history. I'd like to bring up the famous quotation by Winston Churchill that reminds us those who do not remember their past are doomed to repeat it. And your charter or rather mission statement identifies the need to promote the visibility and growth of the neighborhood businesses while preserving the history of the community. The problem is I want to ask what kind of history you are choosing to preserve. The history that seems to be left out, frequently left out, sorry about whoever's mic that was. This history that seems to be continually left out seems to be the history of the sundown towns that Ferguson once was. It lasted until the 1940s. And many times this city still remains to be a sundown town. See, Mike Brown being left in the street for 4.5 hours was reminiscent of sundown towns, as was the guns that were pointed at the people, the dogs, the tanks, the tear gas, the intimidation, and the slander of everyone that stood up and spoke and asked questions. It's the continual problems that we have when trusting police to do the right thing and to recognize the Constitution. When you're raised with a conservative like my dad, he gives you gifts like the Bill of Rights in a nice book form. And when we talk about justice for all, I encourage everyone to have a quick look at the Bill of Rights, because this is what justice for all looks like in a nice handy-dandy pocket form. It was at the hands of police that you left Mike Brown. It was at the hands of you that allowed the citizens of this community to continue to face their wrath. And it was you, the council and the mayor, who have continued to allow this city to exploit the citizens. So for those that are concerned about funding, I would urge you to redirect the dollars that have been utilized and collected for those crimes of peace ordinances or manners of walking charges and the like, and reorganize them to pursuing justice for the community. If your history is so important, I urge you to be on the right side of it. Yes. And for those citizens and leaders that do say this is about money, I urge you that no, this is actually about people. The problems you have is because you base your decisions on money, not the people. Those citizens, community members, and leaders that are awfully upset about the 25% increase in salary for police or anything otherwise should definitely take that up with the folks of dissent decrees and should maybe just not pay the taxes in order to vote with your dollars appropriately. But not signing the dissent decree in order to save money at the risk of lives is an unfair choice to make and a position that puts you, again, on the wrong side of history. I would urge you to sign the dissent decree, to elect the officials we elect, and to follow your own laws, rules of this land, and allow justice to reign for all.
Please report to the mayor, right?
Good evening, council members. I'm just sad sitting here because there has been no credit for all the great effort that the city has done in the last year and a half in recognizing the past mistakes and have put forth great effort into making sweeping changes to move our city forward. And this council and those that were initiated those changes, I thank you for that. And everybody needs to recognize the good work that you've already done so far. And there's been, you can look at the court records, you can look at the police reports, and you can see that these changes made a positive difference in our city and how they've handled those that were in those two positions within the courts or dealing with the police. And I looked and I asked the council again not to sign the decree, but to go back to the Department of Justice. There are things in that decree that are good, and you've already stated and shown those efforts, and that we can move forward with a better agreement, and there's time to do that. This is a time to negotiate with them, and not the time to sign it. And they should be open up to seeing the change that you made and know the good effort that you put forward. So I asked to go back and negotiate with them. And if they choose not to, then that's just the point that they're not willing to work with someone, not willing to work with a city that's already moved forward and already shown a commitment to make a change. We've already put on your books tonight the different ordinance that you want to bring about. That's another effort that I applaud you for. So continue to do the good work, and I thank you for that.
Thank you, Madam.
Jerry Knoll.
Mr. Nolan, Jerry.
Thank you. Yeah, first I just wanted to say I thought having the young people come up here was one of the highlights of the night. It's good to see young people getting involved. Also, I wanted to say I appreciate you all having this extended comment period that's gone on for 3 different sessions. It's great hearing people express their opinions. I've said it before, so I'm in favor of signing the consent decree. So just wanted to state that. But what I want to do is to try to rebut. There's 2 major points that have been made on why you shouldn't sign the consent decree. And most of those objections revolve around the idea, first of all, that the requirements are unreasonable and onerous and too tough to try to make. And the other idea would be that we can't possibly meet them without forcing bankruptcy on the city. And so I want to quickly try to rebut that. First of all, at our first meeting, when the question was asked during the comment session whether there was flexibility within the agreement to do things differently than is spelled out if the spirit and intent of the agreement is still maintained, and could the monitor approve such changes, the young lawyer that was there at the meeting, he said yes. So it is possible if things are very onerous, that with a mutual agreement with the monitor, the city, and the DOJ, that, yeah, the federal judge may say, okay, let's back off of that. That is too onerous. Everybody agrees on it. Secondly, the city has published very detailed analysis of all the background on where the numbers came from. And I've looked at that, and the costs to it, if we're creative and look to volunteers within the community, there's lots of creative things that can be done where the costs are not nearly going to be as high as what's stated. So, again, I'm in favor of signing the consent decree. Thank you.
Lewis Wilson.
First, I want to say thanks to all the people, residents of Ferguson, for showing up and waiting to speak, particularly the children. The children always touch my heart. Thank you for Mike Brown's family and representatives that are here. Been gone for a while, been sick, don't matter. Born to fight. Still sick, still tired. Been angry since I was 14 years old. See, that's what age I was when I discovered exactly what being black in America meant. I'm almost 60, and I'm still angry. Situation is simple. Reality bites. everybody that knows me, that hangs around me and hears me speak and write, reads my writings, know I have a new saying: break every rule. Why not? They just told you that if we voted that we didn't want to pay for a stadium, we was paying for it anyway.
Yeah.
They just told you that 3 is less than 2. Reality bites. You cannot garner change by following the rules of the establishment. If you want change, people, all these eloquent people, all of them, yes, there's a small, and I'm going to say small, I live racist element in Ferguson, but the people of Ferguson, black and white, got that beat. I honor you all, I love you all. Yeah. Half the time, last time I was here, there was nothing left for me to say, and you people got through speaking. Right. But understand this: if we want change, we can't follow their rules no more. When you want change, break the rules. Their rules are designed to oppress people.
Yes, they are.
Jim Crow was U.S. law.
Right.
Separate but equal was U.S. law. Ferguson is but a speck on the map, on the U.S. map. We talking bigger, but we can be better. They're not going to listen to the people. The only reason they listen to us now is because last August, I told this public, thank you. I couldn't run after that first night when I got gas. If I protest now, I said 11 a.m., not 11 p.m. But understand one thing. There's some good people here. I'm looking at one of them. And I hope you keep that man. But you don't like him. Mr. Byrne, I wasn't at that meeting. I'm very shocked and surprised. The lady Laverne should be on this committee. Ferguson is 2/3 black, period. I said certain things at the very first meeting at Great Grace Church. When I look up there, I saw a good old boys group. I still see a good old boys group. In spite of how eloquent the people speak, how hard they fight, how much they say, I don't want this. I want everybody to be treated equally. That's right. I want everybody to be treated the same. Why is that so bad? People, break every rule.
Good evening, everyone. I stand here today, me and my husband, we're both coming here to ask you to say yes. Yes, because profiting through poor policing and racial profiling has led us here today. We cannot compromise integrity, fairness, and justice to all of us. This hurts all of us, every person in this room. Protecting the citizens of Ferguson should be our priority. No money in the world should cause us to sacrifice that. And if that means dissolving Ferguson, then so be it. I've been a resident of Ferguson for 10 years. My house is $70,000 less in value from what I bought it from. What has Ferguson done for me? But I love Ferguson. Completely upside down, tax taxes, insurance is high as a sky because I am in Ferguson. And we have been through the things that we have been through. What has Ferguson done for me and my family? I've been a victim of racial profiling. Me, 3.5 years ago, with 3 15-year-olds in the car, been pulled over at gunpoint for no reason at all. Still don't know why, but you know what? They told me that was Caverton Park. But wait a minute, that's right across the street. What has Ferguson done for me? But I do love Ferguson. Change has to start, and it has to start today. We sat there and we watched Ferguson burn. What National Guard was here, nobody did anything about it. Businesses burned down. What has Ferguson done for us? It's time to do something now.
Something has gone terribly wrong with the social justice movement in the United States of America. There was a time when the social justice movement knew that the only true way to remove the vestiges of segregation, of racism, was through economic equality. This consent decree will be viewed as a moral victory by many in the social justice movement, but it will be an economic defeat for the people of Ferguson. I heard somebody say earlier that bankruptcy was a white word. I did not realize that bankruptcy was racially designated. I have known many people that signed subprime mortgages, white and black, with the hope that they could find the money, things would work out, and the lender might change down the road. All of those people lost their homes. Bankruptcy is not a white or a black term. Ask any black person that got a subprime mortgage and went bankrupt, and they will tell you it is not a white or a black term. Something has gone terribly wrong with the social justice movement in the United States of America. I heard somebody say we need to just charge the white racist residents of Ferguson and not charge the black people. The white people that don't like black people moved away from Ferguson a long time ago. The people that will pay this settlement will be the people of Ferguson, 2/3 of whom are black. And maybe the answer is that we all should pay $400 or more a year in taxes to pay for the settlement. That might be the right answer. But something has gone wrong with the social justice movement, that they have lost track of the sight that if this happens, thousands of Ferguson residents and most of the African American residents will be hurt the most. People are saying that if we don't pass this, it will be an injustice. If we pass this bill, it will not be justice. We will look back 3 years from now and we will wonder what went wrong. Why didn't we make this part of North County better? And it is because there was something terribly wrong with the social justice movement in the United States.
Amen. First, I want to say thank you to the Ferguson Collaborative for the hard work they have done to keep us engaged. I need to include resident voices. For too long, Ferguson has managed a corrupt system. For too long, blacks have been targeted and used as a means to build up parts of the community we are not welcome in and we cannot access. For too long, these injustices were considered everyday business and acceptable to the mayor and the city council. After someone's son had to die and lay in the street for 4.5 hours, finally, we were able to expose what was deemed acceptable by you. The DOJ has slammed this police department and negotiated an opportunity in the form of a consent decree to change how things are for everyone in this city, but especially for black people. This main argument tonight has been the cost. If the state can spend at least $11 million to tear gas peaceful protesters, you can surely spend a fraction of that on equality. cost should never be the reason to not pursue what's right. Southern plantation owners did not want to free slaves because the cost would be too high. It's time to get off the plantation. There is no cost too high to do what is right. There is no dollar amount we cannot afford to protect the rights of citizens. It is time to prioritize people. It is time to sign the consent decree. It is time to prioritize justice, and no matter how much it costs, because justice is priceless.
Rose. I know him. I know him.
Hello. I am not a resident of Ferguson, but I am a victim of Ferguson, and that's why I keep coming back to these meetings. You have a big choice to make tonight. You can keep on the same old path, doing things the same old way, or you can make a change. You can make Ferguson a different kind of example for once. A city on a hill that others point to as an example of what it means to take a hard look in the mirror and face hard choices. And to anyone who is against the consent decree, I ask you to please go back and reread the Department of Justice's report. Look at those examples of what your city has done to the people who live here, your neighbors, people who call this place home and deserve to feel safe on their own streets. Reread that report and then tell me that this is an unnecessary burden. Now, council members, I know you will sign the decree tonight, because doing anything else would be foolish, and I know you are not fools. And so let's talk about what we're going to do next, after you sign the decree. I know the decree lays out circumstances and rules for the next 2 years. Please don't think of that as a 2-year timeout before you can go back to the same old ways. It is time for Ferguson to change once and for all and become the city that we all know you can be. You are a powerful place full of powerful people, and everyone deserves a seat at the table to see this city become what it was always meant to be. Now, it's time to move Ferguson out of its 100-year-old homes and out of its old traditions and into a city fit for the 21st century. Please sign the decree, and then let's get to work.
Deborah Kennedy.
Ms. Kennedy?
I miss y'all. You inspired me when you stood up to them so much that I told my agent to change the area where I was going to buy a house, and in 3 weeks, I will be voting in your area because I will be closing on a house 3 weeks from today. I talked to DOJ today because he wanted to know what the pulse was in Ferguson, and I'll just tell you what I told him. Last meeting, Saturday, was pretty hostile. It was the racists against the blacks and our supporters. Racists are willing to spend between $4 and $8 million to fight the DOJ. Basically, they want to go down in the history books as the racist town that was willing to go insolvent than to allow blacks and poor to have equal civil rights. They try to say that the DOJ told them to give all city employees a 25% raise, and they think the poor and the blacks will vote yes to both tax increases. And I'm telling you, the poor people and the black people are not going to vote for either one of those tax increases. If you sign the consent decree tonight, you might be able to get grants and donations and assistance. But if you don't sign the consent decree, I have it on good authority. On my birthday, the day after your deadline, they will have the paperwork prepared. You will be sued. They are not playing with you. I don't know where these people get the idea that they can go back and negotiate. They're not playing with you. They're tired of y'all. I told them a year and a half ago that you all were playing games, and they didn't believe me, and now they see it. And every time you malign them in a newspaper or in an interview, we make sure they get a link So they know what you've been saying about them. So if you think that they have any kind of heart to let you do anything other than what's in that consent decree, it's not gonna happen. So I urge you to sign the consent decree because we would much rather for you all to be insolvent, including me with my new house that I'm buying, I don't care, rather than to keep it the way it was where you continue to abuse Black and poor people. We're not going back to that.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, citizens. And good evening, friends. Wow. This meeting is very powerful. It took me back to 1968, Martin Luther King, water cannons, dogs, running over us Blacks. But then I hear other citizens talking about how they were mistreated. Wow. Back in the day, they didn't care about you. You think Ferguson doesn't care about you? Alabama, Mississippi, they didn't care about you a bit. I don't know if anybody got shot with rubber bullets. I don't know. I was watching them. Maybe there were a few. I don't know if anybody got bit by dogs. We were killing our own self. We are the second highest in the dropout rate in Missouri, Ferguson, Missouri. Why can't we put efforts into education?
All right.
I run a training program. I've not seen anyone in here without a job that's been protesting come to my program and see what we have to offer to Ferguson residents and outside Ferguson residents. Oh, do they really? Yeah. Okay, I understand that. But for the ones that don't, send your brothers, send your sisters, send your nephews that don't have jobs. I've been here, hey, in another word, integrity. Wow. Let me give you a short definition of integrity. Who you are when no one's looking. That's a powerful word. I hope you go home this evening, sit in the dark, and think about your integrity. I have it. I have integrity. Because I'm here to help everyone, Black or white, every citizen here in the St. Louis County area. It's tough. It's tough being Black. I read about this place in the history book, in American history, right along with me taking Black history. I read about what they did to us Blacks down at the courthouse. But to live it here, to come here and see the violence and the venom that I see between us citizens right now, it really takes me back. And you can say what you want to say about me, but I'm very sad that it's coming to this. Because the people that got stopped back before Michael Brown by the police, I've talked to a couple of them. And they said, oh, I had to get to work. Oh, I didn't have time to go down to the police department. Oh, I just let him write me a ticket and I let it go. I know it's my time, and I'm going to stop now. But, hey, come forward from here on out. When you have a problem with law enforcement, don't wait till a young man has lost his life on him. Thank you.
I have Michael L. I'm sorry, I cannot read it.
That's all right. And, I'm going to give up my spots to my friends David and David. I just want to say, white supremacy isn't logical. And I mean, you shouldn't be in power where it knows.
Fred, I think you ceded your time to Mr. Witt, so thank you.
Don't worry about it, because he's saying the same thing that I was going to say. And honestly, I'm not a big fan, let me say that first, I'm not a big fan of the Department of Justice, but clearly, Ferguson, you guys have dropped the ball, and the neglect of the third ward and also the other areas in Ferguson, it's just unacceptable. So I think honestly, the Department of Justice gave you guys a slap on the wrist, seeing as how they just basically gave you guys a failing record, and they basically saying, okay, this is going to be your punishment. And then for you to have the option to vote yea or nay, you should be happy. The other thing I want to say, we was at a meeting a few weeks ago, and it came up that you guys had just got pay raises, and that was already in the new budget. And I was just saying, well, you get ready to give a tax increase on the people, but you guys get a raise. Like, I don't see how that works. But let me keep moving on, because the reason why I'm here is because the residents of Campbell Green Apartments, after a tragedy in our community, no one bothered to care about the residents in Campbell. So many of our residents in the beginning just left because they didn't feel safe with the police, how they've been treating people. And then after the people that began standing up, I myself and several other members of the community had got involved to try to see who was in office. And we worked with a lot of our sisters, a lot of our brothers, to get people registered to vote, get people out there to be a part of this system. But what was the response that we get? We get displaced. I'm no longer a resident of Ferguson. I live in St. Louis City right now, on the north side. And that wasn't by choice. I was forced out of Canfield, okay? And that was not just. So yeah, I think that you should be recalled, Mr. No, because I remember back when the Ponderosa was up, you came and you was assisting us to do some rehab, and all the people was going do an opening there. I seen you one time. And I didn't see you back in Ferguson again. I said they had some little thing going on, and that was just unacceptable. But I also want to, my sister, my queen, Miss Ella, thank you for standing up how you did. I'm very honored, along with you and all the other women that's constantly, that's right on the front line. You know what I'm saying? It's really holding our men up. Our men is very in small numbers. Dwayne, I met you early on, and I think that you know what I'm saying, you've been doing your job, brother, and I really respect what you've been doing. Wesley, I didn't vote for you, but I think I voted for Alicia because I'm an electrician, so I gotta respect the electrician because I'm a tradesman. Anyway, I respect, you know what I'm saying, that you made the right decision and you voted in favor of our sister being on the committee. Thank you guys for hearing me. And hey man, everybody keep on fighting, man. That's the only way we're gonna get through this something.
Cassandra Butler.
All right. Good evening. First thing I want to say is 3 is greater than 2. I think it's a question of process, and by having the vote first and then discovering that Ms. Mitchum had 3 votes to 2, and then saying, oh, you need 4 votes. That process really we're familiar with when we meet certain goals of the goalposts changing. And that's what that felt like. If you really, if it was really meant to be 4-1, they should have been said before the vote was taken. Second point, I agree with some of the speakers that the city has made progress and has made changes, and I want to commend the council for those changes. I also want to say I was a little dubious when you hired the lawyer for $1,000 an hour. I think it's hour, yeah. Or 1,300. I was a little dubious, but I know that there was a possibility. And I listened to the lawyer. You have a negotiated agreement. He did it with maybe, it sounds like 150 billable hours. 150,000, so that was reasonable. And you did get a negotiated settlement. So to question about after you spend, you get the best person you can find. That lawyer was really working on behalf of the city of Ferguson. So you spent all that money on him. He gave you his best. You have a negotiated settlement, and then you want to say, should we go with it? So I'm saying, we know this is the best we could get. He told us it was the best we could get. So it's a question of believing in the person that you hired, with the money that you chose to spend, and do it. So I don't understand. I mean, I do understand, but I think if you weren't, all the reasons that people are saying that you should not sign the consent decree were reasons that you would have not even hired the lawyer in the first place. If you're not going to sign the consent decree, why go through 7 months? It's already been negotiated for 7 months. It's so you don't go back and say, oh, well, let's negotiate again at $1,300 an hour. He's already told us this is a good thing. He said we didn't get everything that the city wants, that the DOJ didn't get everything they wanted. It's a negotiated settlement. Sign the decree, please.
That brings us to the close of the public comment portion of the meeting. We'll move on to the business portion of the meeting. We'll start with the minutes of the City Council meeting, January 26th, the special open meeting minutes of February 1st, 2016. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'm going to save off, and I'll be right back. This will be kind of boring till later.